Shut up and sit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Con and Bob podcast. We're both here. Dude, how you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. It's been a good week. It's been a good week. Really fun week.
Busy.
Yeah, busy. Okay, so this is the opposite
Outside of
end.
wrestling.
Yeah. Outside of wrestling. Yeah, busy week. That's a good way to put it. I mean, if you're busy, you know things are happening in your life, which is good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, let's quickly talk about, man. So what's going on with you? What do you got going on in your life right now?
Well, I just moved closer to my work and only about an hour from you, not even. So
yeah, that's pretty nice.
It's pretty nice. I can still come out for streams and everything like this weekend, which we're gonna get to.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, just busy trying to work 9 to 5 as well as my part-time job, which is usually 5 to 9 or later, and then also find time to pack up things from my old house and move it to my new place.
And then, of course, you know, streaming this or recording this, whatever we're doing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This
and then
stupid podcast
else.
that, it's just we're so busy, and it's just why not add something else that takes an extra 2 hours to prepare for?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why not, right, man?
I've got the time.
I know.
There's 30 hours in a day, right?
Exactly. We run on broadcasting time. But man, this week we're gonna do something a little different. Normally we review Raw and Smackdown in its entirety. We talk about all the storylines and things like that. But this week we've got Hell in a Cell coming up on Sunday, and we decided that we're gonna do a preview show for Hell in a Cell. Are you excited about doing this?
Constantly mixing things up, Con. Just keeping it fresh here on the Con and Bob podcast on the CNB. And just,
CNB? Yo, that's dope right there. That's dope.
Just keeping it fresh, I know last
fresh.
time we did the kind of preview stream, the prediction stream. Like I just said, though, we're pretty busy. We can't always do that. But also, it's nice to see what kind of what the people want, right?
Exactly,
do they want the preview stream 2 hours before the show, or do they want a predictions podcast?
Right? I mean, and hey, if there's sometimes that we can't get around to doing that preview stream like we can't do this weekend, I think it makes total sense to give our predictions beforehand in the Con and Bob podcast. But before we get to that, we're going to quickly just run through the results of Monday Night Raw. We're not going in depth with them at all because
we'll even talk about them.
Yep, nope, we're giving the results right here. So, first match of the night, we're not even going to talk about promo segments, just matches, okay, guys? So you know the results really, really quickly. Nikki Bella versus Ruby Riott. Nikki Bella picks up the win. Right person won there, even though it would have been nice to see Ruby Riott pick up the win there.
Yeah, I think they're building Nikki.
I think so as well. Nikki looks like she's probably headed towards a women's championship opportunity.
Yeah. Evolution.
Yep, I believe so. AOP with Drake Maverick still by their side against the jobbers of Ronnie Ace and Nathan Bradley. They are dressed up like Chippendales. This is PG, and you know what? We'll give that a giant D because that match sucked. But you know what? Authors of Pain at least, hey, pick up a win, over the jobbers. Then we later on had the Raw Tag Team Championship rematch between B-Team and Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. This was a okay match, kind of their first one was a little bit better. But once again, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre pick up the win and they retain their Tag Team Championships. Right call there. Tyler Breeze versus Kevin Owens didn't really end up happening. Kevin Owens dismantled Tyler Breeze on the ring apron, and we find out that he is now able to do anything his heart desires because there's no plot holes in that storyline. Let's go on to Bobby Roode and Chad Gable versus The Ascension. Chad Gable and Roode defeat The Ascension. Nothing really to talk about there other than a potential heel turn from Bobby Roode in the future is being teased right now. Plant those seeds, right, man?
Seeds all day. That's all we do.
Yeah, plant them seeds. Then we got Ronda Rousey and Natalya versus Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. Ronda Rousey and Natalya pick up the win. That's just the right call right there. We got Mick Foley returning, which was pretty cool, but there's nothing really to talk about with that. Finn Balor versus Elias. Balor defeating Elias, solid match. Solid match ahead of their Hell in a Cell pay-per-view this Sunday. And to finish it all off, we had Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman brawling. Roman Reigns kind of gets the better hand of Braun Strowman there. Holy moly, dude. Did I make that in record time?
Record time. That was
wow.
Stop. Let's click the stopwatch. Okay, and 2.2 minutes. Good job.
Not bad, man. Not bad. 2.2 minutes to get through all the results of Monday Night Raw. What do you say? Should I try to make Smackdown even quicker here?
Oh, yeah. I'm giving you 38 seconds.
38 seconds?
No.
No. All right, give me a minute. Let's see if Conman can get the results off in under a minute. You ready? Here we go. Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Hardy defeats Nakamura via disqualification. We had AJ Styles deliver a sentiment towards Samoa Joe. Great words there from AJ Styles. Very, very excited for that matchup. Charlotte Flair versus Sonya Deville. One-on-one matchup. Great little match. Charlotte picks up the win via submission. Sonya Deville is looking like an absolute star in the making. Sheamus and Cesaro versus Rusev Day in the number one contenders match. A bit of a surprise here, but Rusev Day picks up the win here in this match, and they go on to face New Day at Hell in a Cell. Then we got the main event. Andrade Cien Almas and R-Truth facing off against each other. Actually, that wasn't the main event, but Almas picks up the win over R-Truth. And then the much-anticipated return of Maurice in the ring. Brie Bella versus Maurice. Brie Bella picks up the win via disqualification. Boom! How'd I do?
17 minutes.
What? Oh, that's a bit of a letdown.
No, it was just over. Maybe a minute and a half.
Not bad. So,
not bad.
Record time rushing through those. We got those all covered in like less than 5 minutes.
And that's
Beautiful.
The show, guys. Thanks for
thanks
for listening to the Con and Bob podcast. I've been Bob.
I've been gone. No. But guys, now to get on to the really, really fun stuff. We've got our preview ahead of Hell in a Cell. We'll break down every single match, who we think's going to win, what possible storyline and future will be for them after the match as well. So, dude, first match of the night that at least is announced on the card. It is Rusev Day. New Day
so
versus
what's going to happen? They're going to
fuse.
The two teams are going to fuse into one mega team.
Yeah, we're going to get a mega stable called Rusev Day.
Rusev Day.
I like it. But no, SmackDown Tag Team Championships are on the line. What are your thoughts on this match before we even get to see it?
Excited.
Me too.
We know what New Day can do with anyone and how good of a story they tell, how good they are in the ring, the diversity that they bring, the character that they bring in and out of the ring. And we all know how much people love Rusev Day.
Oh,
so
man. Yeah.
I'm really excited. And you and I know how well, and many people, like many, know how well of athletes and wrestlers, like how good Aiden English and Rusev respectively are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see this match because we haven't really gotten to see it 1v1 to this caliber. So with this this kind of importance to it. So I'm really excited to see it. I think it's going to be like an arguable match of the night.
Yeah, hey, there's a possibility for it for sure.
Anytime New Day's on the card, they have a potential match of the night.
They do. It's really going to be an interesting dynamic considering that they are both faces, that they're both incredibly over, and it's going to make for some fun back and forths. The one thing I'm kind of worried about this match is it might be pushed into comedic territory. It's like the New Day obviously being a comedic team, that's good. They've learned how to master that, but I don't want Rusev Day to get caught up in the whole comedy shtick of the pay-per-view, right? I hope that they're being at least put over as a legit team, a team that, can make waves in the tag team division and not kind of just being there, to take a pinfall.
No, 100% completely agree. And that's why I have them winning the tag team championships.
Yes, so you got Rusev Day. I've got New Day.
I do have Rusev Day.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? To be honest, that is such a very tough one to look at because New Day, you could say, okay, they've been champions many, many times before, right? They're the 5-time tag team champions. It's entirely possible they're just put in this position to be a transitional champion because they would be completely fine without the championships if they lost them again. It could also be the start of another long championship reign to try to bring back that tag division, because I think it kind of dipped down with the Bludgeon Brothers holding onto those championships for a while.
It did, but I think that, Rusev Day is just far too over to not give them something right now.
Mm-hmm.
Although this is WWE and they've done it before and they'll do it again where people are over with the crowd and they just don't, it's not their guys that they want, so they kind of
and
keep
you know what?
putting them on the back burner.
I think that's a fair thing though, because the New Day is no slouch, right? Like
the
New Day sell them so much merchandise money. They make them so much cash, whether it be, through digital media or what have you. They make them so much money, so it makes sense that they would want to put the championships back on them. And Rusev Day just might honestly, unfortunately, be another challenger, right?
Yeah, I think on my side of things, I think that New Day is going to be New Day no matter what is going on.
Yep.
But if they continue to not do something with Rusev or Rusev Day, because that's the thing, it's fine if Rusev Day doesn't win the championship, but you need to give Rusev a title or like an actual story and not a lot of fans don't necessarily want to see Rusev Day break up because in my mind, especially, I think that if they break up Aiden English from Rusev, it takes away something because one of them has to turn heel. Yeah. And in order for Rusev to stay as over as he is, Aiden English is crucial to that.
Yes, I would agree that Aiden English is certainly crucial to Rusev's being over, right? I certainly would agree with that. It just makes me wonder, though, if the story that they've been building up with Aiden English now taking all of the blows for Rusev, it makes you wonder if Rusev, say, picks up the loss here, does Aiden English snap on Rusev? Right, like they could very well be leading to that, and I honestly wouldn't mind seeing this heel singer, who actually has some momentum behind him via a heel turn on, a fairly over superstar, right? It might be interesting, but obviously these are one of the great things of wrestling. We get to speculate before the match even happens.
Yes, it's tough too because I like both guys. Is like both teams. I want to see either one walk away with the championship. I just think moving forward, I think it's time and I don't know how long, and that I'm not a big fan of quick championship changes, yes. And this will be a quick one for New Day, but maybe it's just it seems right to give Rusev and English the titles.
Honestly, a title around Rusev would look good.
Exactly. And it would be long overdue for a long while.
Yes, because I don't think we've seen him have a championship since the United States Championship, correct?
Yeah, way back, yeah.
That's a long time ago, man.
It's been a long time, and he's had opportunities, but then they don't put it on him, and the fans are getting restless. And, okay, look at Cesaro, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fans wanted Cesaro to get a championship. They were like, this dude deserves it. He's so over with the crowd and whatnot in the sense of as a face. And then they finally put him in a tag team with Cesaro or with Sheamus, making Cesaro, whatever the bar. And now Cesaro will forever be remembered in WWE as part of the bar. The bar is I think for this last couple years, if you take a half decade, I think the bar is a crucial tag team.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That will be remembered heavily because of the way that they formed, because of how much they did in the tag team division on both Raw and SmackDown, and how important those guys are. And it's someone like Sheamus, who's a former multi-time world champion and so forth, and then Cesaro, who never really broke into that spot, but Cesaro still has some time. Like, Sheamus is obviously older. I think that if they ever break up, then he can go on. And I think that can be the same thing for Rusev Day. I think that give him a tag team reign, make him solid, like over, whatnot. And then eventually, if they break up, even if it doesn't even need to be a breakup like heel versus face, someone turns on someone. It could just be a, we lost our titles. We couldn't retain them. I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, that could work, man.
And they're still just buddies, right?
Yep.
Like,
it could work. It could work. You're certainly a big fan of the whole being buddies in the background and all that. Unfortunately, with it being wrestling, not everybody's buddy. Then when there's a split, there is a split. One's heel, one would be face. So we'll see how that all plays out this Sunday. Let's get on with this, though. We got Dolph and Drew versus Dean and Seth this Sunday for the Raw Tag Team Championships. It's weird. It's weird seeing Seth Rollins with the IC title, and he hasn't even been showing off the title at all. So I don't know what's going on with the whole Intercontinental title scene right now. Wish that it would be a little more in the forefront, because Seth was white hot before joining the Shield, or rejoining the Shield. So anyways, because of that reason, I personally am going to have Dolph and Drew winning this Sunday.
Well, I think Dolph and Drew are going to retain.
Mm-hmm.
Theirs, but I think that they're going to retain the titles just because it's that's a quick turnover, and they're not a transitional. You can't do that.
They're not
to
transitional
Drew.
champions. Yeah.
You can't do that to Drew. More importantly than Dolph. No offense to Dolph. No offense to you, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Dolph, but I love Dolph. He's one of my favorites in WWE currently, But I think the way that they're wanting to build Drew and where they want to go with it, you can't have him win a tag title and lose it 2 weeks later.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't think there should be any reason for them to lose the titles, especially the way that they were just kind of thrust into the title picture, just like out of nowhere, to win the titles. I think they want to keep the titles on them. I think they want to experiment a little bit more with this trio of Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre. I don't think they're going to be stupid enough to put all of the titles in WWE on the Shield, at least all of the Raw titles. I can't see that happening, but weirder things have happened, and it's entirely possible that they are looking to get a massive amount of heat on the Shield. Who knows? Maybe they want to verge towards turning the Shield heel, and the way you do that is by putting every title on them. I personally hope that doesn't happen, but hey, weirder things have happened in the WWE.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like you said, it would be massive heat that they could put on the Shield, giving them all the titles, but I don't know that they'll do it yet.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not going to do it now, they won't do it. You know, like, let's face that, they're going to take the IC title off Seth if they plan to put the tag titles on them, I think. And you know what, the weird thing is, though, before Dean Ambrose got injured, right, they were Raw Tag Team Champions. Mm-hmm. And it could very well be WWE looking to just bring back the storyline they had planned between Dean and Seth Rollins, because I remember hearing the idea of them eventually splitting up and then having a Mania storyline. What now, obviously, with Dean Ambrose being injured back then, they weren't able to pursue that Mania storyline, so they could very well look to put the titles back on them to at least begin that storyline once again. It's entirely possible.
I can see that.
It's entirely possible, but who knows? It's just such a complete weird feeling as of this moment. The Shield's return has been very weirdly done. Like, it feels weird, all from their weapon of choice to how they're all of a sudden coming out through the crowd again, but they're getting beat up by all the heels. It's just been a very weird dynamic, and hopefully, you know, they'll try to right the ship a little bit more and maybe figure out what they want to do with Dean and Seth Rollins this Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's been a bit off. I think it's exciting, whatever. I'm excited to
It's
find
definitely
out
exciting.
what is going to happen. That's definitely for sure. I'm excited to know what's happening, but there's so many different ways that they could go here. That's the beautiful thing, that they are doing well. I
Mhm.
will defend them here, saying that they're doing a great thing, that we're not really sure where they're going with this.
Yeah, no, that we
Which
don't have a clue.
removes that smug wrestling fan in us that, like, most wrestling fans are, where they're like, "Oh, I know what's gonna happen."
Yeah, the nice
You
part
don't.
is WWE has been unpredictable, and as long as it, remains unpredictable, we will be left surprised, shocked, and disappointed, It's
Yeah.
it's bound to happen. That's what watching
Jason
WWE is
Jordan
all about.
returns, joins the Shield.
Yeah, can you imagine him in the Shield vest? Well, I mean, he'd probably look something very similar to when Kurt Angle was in a Shield vest.
Well, he is his son.
He is his son, exactly, like father, like son. Okay, next match
Oh my
here.
god, imagine. Ugh, sorry,
Okay,
I
all
just
right.
went all fantasy booking.
No, let's move on to the next match. I'm gonna shut you down right there before we
It
start.
wasn't even about Hell in a Cell. It wasn't even about the Shield. It was about Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan.
Oh man, oh man, you can get rolling off on a tangent.
Just go-
It's the
go into
best
the
thing
next
in the
one.
world.
Go to the next one.
All right, we got. I just about said Matt Hardy. We got Jeff Hardy versus Randall Keith Orton inside Hell in a Cell. This has been one of my favorite feuds booked on SmackDown. Love the story that's been told, and I'm very excited to see what Jeff Hardy does in his very first Hell in a Cell match ever.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
You took the words out of my mouth. I don't have anything else to say.
I know there's
That's it.
really nothing else to say. It's going to be a very exciting, hard-hitting match. Me personally, I have Randy Orton picking up the win.
I also have Orton. Like, here's the thing. Orton's been in a number of Hell in a Cells. I think at least two.
Yeah, I think 2, 3 even?
Yeah,
Has he been
I think
3?
it's been at least two. And like, the one thing, a lot of people like to rip on Randy for his slow pace in the ring.
Mm-hmm. They do.
But he's also one of the only superstars in wrestling history, probably, I'll be that bold, that could work at that pace and still make a match that exciting.
Yeah, he's certainly like the poster boy for telling a story inside the ring without having to fly around it or having to risk his definitely he risks his body, but you know what I mean, like having to legitimately put yourself in dangerous situations. He's a very safe worker. Anybody who gets in there with him, they know that he's going to be protecting them as best as he possibly can, but he also does it in a way that makes his moves look so vicious.
Yeah, and he's much better as a heel as he ever was as a face,
Definitely,
which we've said a
definitely.
number of times. And that's when he gets to shine, because the heel being kind of methodical and slow, and especially the character that he is as a heel, he's a predator. He calls himself the apex predator. He's known as that. He's literally a predator in that ring when he's a heel. So it's a little weirder when he's being that slow and methodical as a face, but as a heel, it makes sense because he's constantly plotting, and his character forever has been and will continue to be smarter than the other guy.
Yep.
In the ring, inside those ropes, he's smarter than you.
And you know what?
He knows
Outside of
the
it as well, he's
Yeah.
he knows it, as like you're about to say. He knows he's smarter than his opponents, which makes
It's
him
like a
even more
chess
dangerous.
match.
Yep.
It's like a chess match at all times to him. You go, you be calm, and you know that what your opponent's next move is, and they don't know what you're going to do, and just continue to go.
Exactly.
And he's exciting. And then, like you said, Jeff Hardy inside that structure. I said this, I think, last week, maybe the week prior. I'm really excited for this match in the Cell, because forever since the Cell debuted, it's always been known as like this structure that changes people, right? Like you go in one type of person and you leave another, and like, remember like the aspect of when they did the first ever women's Hell in a Cell, and just the aspect of Mick Foley pleading with Charlotte and Sasha, saying like, you don't want to be in there. the aspect of that.
It's not a fun thing. I mean, like, us as wrestling fans, you know, we watch it and say, oh man, this is such an exciting match, but they're in legitimate danger. They are legitimately climbing up to the top of the cell. They are, you know, they're putting their bodies on the line. They're crashing into the steel. So it's obviously a dangerous match, and Mick Foley knows that better than anybody else.
Exactly. And I think that this match, the Orton versus Hardy match, will be the first in a long period of time that truly shows and feels, as a viewer, you will feel like, oh, that's what the cell does to you. I think that these two guys have the seniority, the veteranship, if you will, if that's a word. I just made it up, Bob coined, to really show you this isn't a match for everybody. You can't just take two people and put them in this. It's got to need to be there, and they're going to show it, and they're going to leave different people if they leave at all. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Well, interesting.
Get Jeff off the show, possibly. It's so weird. I still think that he might be written off for a while. I don't know.
It's so tough because, like,
he's been doing great.
Yeah, it seems like he was destined to be written off TV, like he was super injured, but he's been killing it. Like, you know, he continues to impress no matter how hurt he is, and for all we know, they could give him the win here, and he could get a push out of it. Like, you know, he's got maybe unfinished business with Shinsuke Nakamura, because Nakamura's doing absolutely nothing. He's not even on the card for Hell in a Cell. It's your United States champion. Very weird. But I'm excited for this match for sure. It's going to remind us what the cell can actually do to people, like you said.
For sure.
And it also brings back this thought process. Should WWE look to move away from, like, you know, theme branded pay-per-views like Hell in a Cell, like TLC? Because yes, they built up this Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy match at the right time to culminate potentially at Hell in a Cell. But say, what if this feud was happening earlier in the year? It does feel like it still belongs inside the cell. So I wish we would see, like, those types of matchups, not just on the theme pay-per-views.
Yes, I loved the aspect of, like, Unforgiven or, like, Vengeance or whatever, right? Like, something, one of those names that were just like, oh, this suits the...
Why not bring over WCW pay-per-views? Yeah, why not bring over, like, former WCW pay-per-view names? They had some great ones. Halloween Havoc, Starrcade, all those things, right? Like, they had great names. You have the rights to them, so why not start branding some WWE pay-per-views like that and get rid of the names like TLC and Hell in a Cell?
And it could bring in a bit of different fans that don't necessarily watch WWE or don't watch it much, but might have been, like, it would be an older generation, but fans that were big WCW fans, and they'll be like, oh, the WWE's doing a Starrcade? Huh.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Well, I gotta check it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not big on the whole brand name ones. Like, certain times it makes sense to me. Money in the Bank.
That's a cool one because it starts a whole storyline throughout the entire year. It's kind of like the Royal Rumble, right?
Exactly.
It's once a year, something big is on the line. It makes sense that it would be its own pay-per-view. It's essentially a free title cash-in, right? Yeah. Like, if you win that,
at any time, it's actually better than the Royal Rumble.
It is. It is better than the Royal Rumble.
What it's doing for you, 100%. It's what it's doing for you is better. If you can win that briefcase, you have a better shot at winning the championship because you can do it at any time.
Exactly.
You could literally, like, put a guy to sleep and, like, with, like, horse tranquilizer.
Okay, what?
And then call a ref and give him the briefcase and say, count it. 1, 2, 3. Boom.
What in the world? Horse tranquilizer? Where'd you get that in your head? Like, you're gonna need a lot of that to take down Braun, though.
I didn't know what would be PC to say.
All right, fair enough. That's where we move on.
Moving on.
Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus The Miz and Maurice. SmackDown has done an excellent job building up this feud. I loved what they've done the last 2 weeks especially, but for me in this match, I have Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella picking up the win, and I think you got something different, don't you?
I do.
And I want to hear your reason why.
Well, I actually, when we were choosing, I changed it mid-thought because, like, it makes sense to have Daniel win here with Brie, but at the same time, to me, it almost makes more sense to have Miz and Maurice win.
Okay.
I don't know how they're going to win necessarily, but I think that Selena Vega and Almas will somehow be involved because they have some unfinished business with DB and Brie.
Interesting.
In the sense of, and maybe that starts a nice little rivalry between Bryan and Almas, because then at that point, if Miz wins here, he says, I don't need to fight Daniel ever again. I'm done. Like, I'm better than him. I won 2 matches. And then he moves on to his case of, okay, now I can go for the championship. I'm coming for the WWE championship. Then he and Styles have a little thing. He gets or whomever has the title, he gets the title. And then that's where this takes full circle to your theory, where Daniel Bryan climbs the mountain, gets to face Miz number 3 at WrestleMania.
And you know what? I love that build, and I'm 100% behind that build for that reason. The only reason why I see Bryan and Bella picking up this win here is because Brie Bella just returning out of nowhere. This is her first pay-per-view match being back. Something tells me she's put there, so that they can film this big win, her big return after being, given birth. She wins finally back on the pay-per-view. It seems like it's such a total Bella's thing. Unfortunately, that got weaved into this whole feud between Daniel Bryan and The Miz.
Excuse me. It's also Maurice's first pay-per-view match back.
It is, and that's huge.
And they could easily be doing that for Miz and Mrs.
They could, yes. That is a very, very good point.
It is the most watched television show in the history of the world. If you ask Miz.
If you ask Miz,
it is a must-see TV.
So, you know what? That is actually a very good point for that sense. With Miz picking up a cheap win in the very first meeting between Bryan and Bella, I can totally see Bryan picking up the win here. Maybe even Bella would pin Maurice. I think that would make more sense. Bella would pin Maurice, and then Miz would still say, I didn't lose to Daniel Bryan. I beat him the first time. I still haven't lost to him. I am owed my WWE Championship match or something like, you know what I mean? I'm sure they could find a way to continue to get on with that storyline. It's just, I don't know how Bryan could get another match with Miz after this. They would have to win in a very cheap fashion again, and that is entirely possible. So
that's what I mean. Like, it would be... It would have to be a completely different... So this is... We're going to go a little bit deeper into this because this is an 8-year rivalry that is so amazing.
Yeah.
In my mind, Miz and Maurice win.
Okay.
Almas and Vega cost him, right? So Miz moves on. He's like, I don't need to deal with Daniel anymore. Daniel's still like, well, you didn't really beat me either time. You kind of had help and you cheated the first time. So now it's like, okay, well, whatever. Miz has moved on. He doesn't care. Bryan is focused on Almas now. They have a nice little rivalry. And then it's just that build so that when they do meet for that third and possibly final time, ideally at WrestleMania, it's for the WWE Championship. And at this time, Bryan doesn't care as much about he does still, like, it's like a in the background sweet thing that if he beats Miz, he's beating Miz. But it's at this point, time has passed, and he's like, it's not about that anymore. It's not about that. It's about what you have, and I want it. And
you know what? I think at that
about
point,
the championship.
At that point, man, I do agree making it about the championship at that point. But what I would do is I would have, like, Daniel Bryan's focus be taking everything that Miz has. Miz doesn't deserve it. He's taking it from him because Miz does not deserve to be in the position he is, right? Daniel Bryan deserves it. Like, I mean? Kind of that saying, like, I fought and crawled my way back and all you do is cheat to get to the top. I want this being taken from you. I want to take it right from your grubby little mitts there. If he did that, I would understand it. And that does make a lot of sense, if Miz cheats to beat him at this Sunday at Hell in a Cell as well. The more that we talk about it, the more I can see Miz and Maurice picking up this win. From storyline standpoint, it feels like it's being built up to Bryan versus Bella, but I love the direction that you're
Bryan
heading
versus
in.
Bella?
Or
Yeah,
Bryan and Bella.
Bryan at Evolution. Reverse Bryan at Evolution. You heard it
Bryan
here first.
and Bella.
Con and Bob podcast breaking it. That's the show.
That's all she wrote. I'm gone. No, but yeah, Bryan and Bella picking up the win. It feels like it's being built in that direction, but you never know, because on the go home show, Bryan and Bella did get the final laugh on Miz and Maurice, right? So, hey, it could be that whole reverse booking idea. But let's go into some more reverse booking in the backwards booking of Becky Lynch.
Some more elaborate plans in our minds.
Yeah. Anyways, though, we got the matchup between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. Highly anticipated. Very surprised this isn't taking place inside Hell in a Cell, considering there's no women's match on the card inside the cell. But who do you think's winning this match, man? Charlotte or Becky?
So, we had a brief chat. You don't really know much about what was in my mind.
No, because it's in your mind.
I think that Charlotte retains, but I don't know that it's necessarily through winning.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Maybe it's not quite a heel turn or anything. I don't think that. I think that I like what I'm getting from heel Becky. But I think that this match has another match at Evolution. And I think that it's Charlotte versus Becky at Evolution, possibly in the main event. I know that they'll probably want to put Ronda in the main event, but this one should be based on just purpose and meaning. And that might be where Becky finally takes it. So I think that if Becky loses, I have a hard time understanding how she gets back to that title shot by Evolution. I think it's just not enough time. The fact, like how I said with Miz and Bryan, like Bryan has enough time to build to WrestleMania. That's fine. Becky doesn't have enough time between now and Evolution to build herself back up and say, I deserve this. And be like, well, why do you deserve it when this person's been winning or this person's been winning? What about this person? Like, it doesn't feel right. So I think that she needs to win, technically, Becky, maybe by disqualification, or like Charlotte gets counted out in the sense of like maybe she's holding on to the figure eight and Becky has rope break for too long.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe it's a double count out. Maybe it's like a non-finish where we just get something. It's a weird finish that keeps the belt on Charlotte, but still has Becky deserving another shot, in my mind. I don't know what you want to call that. So I'm just going to say Charlotte still has the title at the end of the night.
Okay. Yeah, you know what, man? I'm still behind you with that one. Charlotte for sure I think she's walking out of there with the championship. I do believe that, and the reason why I believe that is because we have already got the announced match, the rematch between them at Super Showdown. So there's obviously two matches happening, and for me, what that dictates, it means that there is either going to be a screwy finish in the first one, which leads to the rematch happening at Super Showdown, or Becky Lynch picks up the championship and the rematch happens there. Regardless, I believe it would make more sense to try to push, like you said, Becky Lynch winning the title to Evolution, or at least the rematch should she win it at this pay-per-view or Super Showdown. I agree with you on that one. Screwy finish, I believe, and Flair will probably still walk out of there as the champion.
Yeah, is Super Showdown before or after Evolution?
It's before, I believe. Yeah, October 6th is the Super Showdown. I believe Evolution's at the end of October, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that one. Yeah, somewhere, whatever that is. I'd have to look at the calendar once again. Not too sure.
All right.
Okay, next match here, the next women's match on the card. We got Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss. The rematch between Bliss and Rousey. Obviously, their first match, Rousey impressed. It wasn't a standout match, but she impressed for sure. I think Bliss continues to show that she's such an important part to this entire women's division, and the rise of Ronda Rousey as well. Without Bliss, I don't think Rousey is as over as she is. But I'm going to say Ronda Rousey retains her championship. What about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, you know me. I'd love to have Alexa Bliss win the title and keep it forever and bring it to our family home and to family functions when her and I are married and Buddy Murphy's out of the picture. But
hey now. You don't want to keep Buddy Murphy in the picture?
No, maybe as like security.
Okay, I like that.
No, like I would love to see Alexa win, but Alexa's not going to be the person to beat Ronda. As bad as that sounds, like I love Alexa.
Here's also the thing there, man. With like Bliss is already announced for a marquee match against Trish Stratus.
Yeah, she doesn't need the title.
It's not going to be. It's not going to be a title match between them. So
you don't know that?
I do know that. I know it in my heart,
for
man.
WWE.
Yes, I'm the head writer. Didn't you know that?
Oh, that's why it's so bad lately.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm not qualified for the job. Hey yo.
No, I think Rousey's gonna retain. I hope that they keep Alexa still looking like she could threaten at some point. Like she doesn't have to be head to head with her, but they've been doing a good job of showing, like, reminding, hey, listen, Alexa's still a tough wrestler and tough person. She can do some damage to even the baddest woman on the planet, Ronda Rousey.
So, like,
and I hope that they keep it that way.
So, like we've kind of mentioned earlier, though, is like very similar to how Orton is smarter than everybody else. That's his character. He's just smarter than every opponent he ever faces off against. I think it's very fair to say that Bliss is essentially a very similar character in the sense that she may not be the strongest or the largest superstar on the roster, but she's very smart and she's very cunning. And who she aligns herself with is to give her that advantage. And it makes you wonder if the numbers game does come into effect at all. And I really like that all Bliss needs to do is just show how smart she is to be basically a contender in any match that she's in.
Yeah, I would say that Bliss is, to me, more similar to Miz than Orton. Yeah. Because Miz is very similar in that he's smart in the sense of who he aligns himself with and how he does certain things, whereas Randy is smart in the actual match of wrestling, right? Yep. And not saying that Miz or Alexa aren't, they are, but it's a different level. I think that Alexa's very good at that cowardly but still aggressive heel like Miz. She can be very, very aggressive and dominant and just beat on someone, which Miz does all the time. But at the same time, she can like realize when she's not in her best situation and take advantage of it in other ways. Brass Knuckles or Alicia Fox for Miz, or Alicia Fox for and Mickey for Alexa, and certain things like that, just to benefit her best.
You know what? That's a very good comparison. I didn't even think about comparing her to the Miz, but that's certainly a much closer comparison than Randy Orton. I like that one. AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. Oh, Wendy. This match I'm excited for. It's once again surprising that it's not inside Hell in a Cell. I think with it being not inside Hell in a Cell, it seems that there might be room for a screwy finish, might be room for something like that. I know we already got a no contest or a screwy finish in the last one. I can't remember how it ended.
I think it was AJ got disqualified.
Was that what it was? Disqualification? Okay, I couldn't remember if it was no
Yeah, I'm
contest.
pretty sure
or
that AJ got
disqualification.
disqualified because he
hit him with the chair, correct?
Yeah, he started just like beating on him with the chair because he was just done with him.
So I mean, obviously, this being the rematch, no extra stipulations added in as of this moment. It could very well be just a straight up Styles wins, or it could be WWE's chance to put a title on Joe. It's a tough one to choose here beforehand. I've been back and forth on it many times, but I do believe the idea is they want to keep the title on AJ Styles, so I'm going to go Styles winning this match.
Yeah, I would like to see AJ obviously continue to hold it. He's amazing. It's just, again, if Joe doesn't win here, when does he win? Where does he win? Does he win at all? And he deserved to win at least once. And he doesn't need to hold it for a full year, but it kind of takes away the legitimacy of Samoa Joe and his character if he continues to lose when given his big moment opportunities, almost Bray Wyatt-esque, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can see how well that went for Bray Wyatt in the aspect of just continue, like, you can't continue to threaten people and say that you're better than them and more dominant than them and you will destroy them. And then every time that it matters and every time that those bells ring,
you got to be able to get the job done, right? Like, you got to get the job done.
That was the issue that's literally the issue that WWE did with had with Bray Wyatt. It's the way they booked him. He would dominate not when the match was happening. He had his team, he had the Wyatt family and everything, so they would destroy people and just like overpower. And then when it mattered in the big match of a pay-per-view,
he would lose.
He never overcame that hump, and he would always lose. So I think it's a similar thing. You can't risk doing that. I think it would be a nice little change. I think it continues the storyline well enough because I don't know how they continue it if AJ just beats Joe clean. And another screwy finish would be off. I think that Joe wins it, maybe holds it for a little bit, maybe not too long because that messes with my other fantasy booking of.
Now we're starting to it's very confusing on SmackDown because they have so many very good wrestlers, right? And so much talent on that roster where they can literally put the WWE title on maybe 3, 4, 5 of their guys. Like, as of this moment,
at least 5.
Yeah, like that's how deep the roster is right now. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's a good problem to have. But when you have that much talent on your roster, not everybody can be champion. Not everybody can be pushed at once. And sometimes a superstar is going to be built up with the idea of them being overcome by the babyface, right? We've seen that countless times before. A good heel is great. But when WWE has, and they've proven this in the past, when they found a babyface who is over with the fans, who can put on good matches and can sell merchandise, regarded as one of the best wrestlers in the world, they want to keep the title on him because it looks good for the company. It's when fans come to the live events, they want to see AJ Styles with the WWE Championship. They may not want to see Samoa Joe, right? We got to remember this is for kids as well. And they might not like Samoa Joe. I mean, it's a very similar thing like when we were kids. Edge would scare me because he was a heel. He would scare me with some of the things he would do. Same with Triple H. But it's a good problem to have when you're literally sitting here saying, well, if we don't put the championship on him now, when do we do it? Well, if you're having to question that, then you know what? That means you have a good WWE champion right now, and you're literally having to question, is this the time to take it off him, or do we keep rolling with this amazing championship reign? It's a very good problem to have, and I'm glad WWE at least has that much talent. You can't use them all at once, but I'm glad they have that much talent to pick from.
I feel that. I just have a hard time, like, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. You and I have talked about it. I don't think on the pod, but AJ Styles is the type of champion that, like I said, like a Ric Flair, like he could lose any night and it doesn't hurt him.
Exactly. I mean, we saw that with his first WWE Championship reign. He dropped down to the mid-card, won the U.S. title, flipped it back and forth with Kevin Owens a few times, and then right back up to the main event scene.
Exactly. So I think it can't hurt AJ Styles ever. Like, he'll still sell merch because he'll still feel like a main event player and your main attraction. And on the other side is like when you have a heel like Joe who scares people, for the kids, for the families, when you're like, I don't like that guy, I want him to lose the title, it gives kids now something to look at, and that's the hunt of Styles clawing his way back up and overcoming the bad guy, right?
Exactly.
There's always the bad guy takes advantage for a little bit in every single movie. He gets the upper hand, and the good guy has to overcome some insane odds in order to succeed in the end and get the trophy, the whatever, right? Save the world, whatever.
Yep.
So I think that's exactly something that they could do here as well. It could be very that style, right? Give someone the championship who people will fear or hate, or, like for us, love to hate.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. It's just basic storytelling, right? Get a really good villain, have the hero overcome him. That's the basic storytelling. That is literally what pro wrestling is about. You know? I don't think that John Cena ever could have become John Cena that he is currently if it were not for Edge. Yeah, that's a fair point. And you could also say that with JBL. Like, he wouldn't be here without JBL.
His original, but like the real John Cena that we have now, for me at least, and I think heavily
and Randy Orton as well.
And that was kind of after he had already become John Cena, and then that just elevated him to John Cena. You know what I'm saying?
It makes perfect sense. Every good babyface needs their foe to go against. They need that one guy, that standout rivalry, and if they can find that, if you get a really good heel in it, and where the babyface will eventually overcome the heel, that is going to be a storyline that you go back and watch on the WWE Network. You watch those collections of their promos and matches together, and you see them 10, 15 years from now, and you look back and say, man, do you remember that feud between AJ Styles and Samoa Joe? That feud was killer, wasn't it? That's one of my favorite feuds of all time. You need a good heel for them to get that across in their mind.
It's funny you say that, because John had 3 of those at least.
Mm-hmm.
He had Edge, he had Randy, and he had CM Punk in my mind.
And then he also had his legendary face versus face matches, his Shawn Michaels, the Triple H. Those feuds were also really good. So it goes to show that you don't necessarily need the best heel to get a really good feud, but it certainly helps in writing a legacy when you have that number one.
Exactly.
Vicious, venomous person in your life that you always have to try to go up against. Daniel Bryan, his is The Miz, Yep. I think it's very safe to say that John Cena's is either Edge or Randy Orton for his entire career. Things like that. Everybody has one. Ric Flair, he had, who was it? Was it Sting was his counterpart, his rival, essentially, in WCW?
Sting was a big one. Yeah, but Flair was the heel in that situation.
Yes, that's what I mean. That's
the weirder
weird
situation. Is that Flair was so over and so, but he was.
But he needed the baby
always
face.
A heel.
He needed the good baby face to go up against. So there is that dynamic. You always need, in the best rivalries, a sadistic heel and a baby face that overcomes the odds.
Constant battle.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got one.
You have AJ on that.
I do. Yeah, I have
just
AJ.
Just to clarify for anyone listening, they didn't hear us, or if we didn't say it, I can't recall.
It's very
main
possible
event
we didn't
time.
say it.
Well, we assume main event time.
Yes, probably main event. A second Hell in a Cell match. The announcement that Mick Foley is going to be the special guest referee in this match is intriguing, because for that to me says Foley might take a bump, You know, he might take a bump, and down will probably come the Shield and probably Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. They'll probably come down at some point in this match for the Universal Championship, but for me, it's going to be Reigns walking out of there with the championship still.
I think it's Reigns walking out with the championship. I think that the Shield is involved.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that. I think Braun still gets his chance to destroy Reigns at some point.
Oh, he's gonna put him through something. I think the thing is, Roman Reigns just took the Universal Championship from Brock Lesnar, and that was a how many year build, to finally put the championship on Reigns. I don't think they're gonna do a quick reign with him, and unfortunate, Braun Strowman is in a very similar position as to Samoa Joe. If not now, when? And obviously Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns do have a historic rivalry between each other. They've put on countless great matches, great storylines. Once again, Braun Strowman does seem like the big heel to Roman Reigns. Even though fans want to cheer Strowman, Strowman is the heel in this sense. So, yes, I can see Reigns overcoming it, but it's going to be an interesting match, especially considering that he's cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase for this match, and we don't generally see Money in the Bank briefcase holders lose all that often, right? We've seen it more in recent times, but it's not a common thing.
Yeah. I've also got Reigns. Like I said, I think that there's something that the Shield is involved with it there. I think maybe even McFoley.
Yeah.
Maybe like Braun tries to intimidate McFoley or whatever, and Mick kind of snaps because he is a psychopath, is right. So, and something happens, but it would be hilarious if, this would just be a hilarious thing if he got hurt. They took him off. A new ref was out there, and then another ref came out, and it was McFoley, but in his Mankind outfit. That would be hilarious.
That would be funny. Just
that's not gonna happen.
No, definitely not happening. But that's funny.
I think it's Reigns.
Yeah.
I think we've got a couple different ones, and obviously we don't know the pre-show matches as of yet.
Yep, nothing's been announced for the pre-show as of right now.
Yeah, we'll chat those at the beginning of the show, though, on Sunday.
I could see, something like not Finn Balor, sorry. I could totally see Kevin Owens and Bobby Lashley getting announced at the last minute for the pre-show. I see that one happening. Also, by the way, Lio Rush being paired up with Bobby Lashley got my intrigue level through the roof. That has money written all over it. To throw that in there. But
well, like I said last week, I love where Lashley's building to right now. I think
I'm behind him now.
I think they're doing good things.
Yep, I'm officially behind him now that they've got Lio Rush next to him. If that is going to be the partnership, then you know what? I'm all behind that. But yeah, that might be on the pre-show. Good looking card. Very small card, though. Only 8 matches announced.
Yep.
But hey, you know what? Sometimes the smaller
long
cards,
matches.
Yeah, long matches could be good. You're looking
at quality over quantity, my friend. Quality over quantity.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it there. No better way to finish off the podcast with some ultimate positivity.
Quick.
Yeah.
I want to know your expected match of the night.
Expected match of the night for me. I think that Styles and Joe are gonna have a barn burner. I think they are going to put on something fantastic. Considering how their first one went, they felt like they were holding back something. I agree. I think this match is going to be incredible. I hope the family gets involved once again with it. You know what? Joe could have the family ringside, and that could prove to be a distraction for Styles. It very well could be. But that's for me. What about you?
I agree 100%. I think Joe, I know what those two guys are capable of. I've seen them in the ring together for many years. And I think this is the one that we get that match.
Yeah, because we've been waiting for that match from Styles for a while now. Since WrestleMania, We are expecting that match with Nakamura at Mania, and it didn't happen. We were
Well,
expecting
the last that match that Styles had, and he could do it on any given night, but the last one from both sides where and the writing of it, the story of it felt like that match was Royal Rumble, probably John Cena versus AJ Styles.
Yeah, you know what? You might be onto something there. He's had a lot of good, very good matches.
Oh yeah, it's like he's always had. Good.
He doesn't put on a bad match.
4-star matches. He doesn't put on anything worse.
But we're waiting. We are still waiting for that 5-star classic, like something that you and me are gonna sit down one night after doing a stream and say, "Want to watch this match?" We'll be like, "Hell yeah!" Exactly. It might happen this Sunday at Hell in a Cell. Like it truly might happen.
This might be the one.
Might be. But man, that's going to bring us to the end of this week's podcast. I think we did pretty good for nearing that hour mark.
Yeah, I think it was just about an hour right there. Might have even just been under.
Sweet.
I know that after it was like 47 was your finish of Smackdown. So yeah, right around that hour mark.
Not bad, not bad. Quick little thing here though, to anybody who is listening to the podcast, we have moved from SoundCloud over to Podbean. So that is conandbob.podbean.com. You can listen to the podcast over there, download it to your phone and all that. So make sure you begin following us on Podbean, as well as, on YouTube and Patreon.
Podbean's
and all
great.
That stuff.
Podbean is great. You can download it very easily to your phone when you have Wi-Fi, and then you can listen to it off Wi-Fi anytime. So
yep, it is great, and it's a little bit more friendly for podcasts. So we felt it was right moving the podcast over there before we got too deep into SoundCloud. I'm a big fan of Podbean already. It feels like the right place to be.
I listen to all my pods on Podbean.
Sweet. And you guys can download the app as well and follow us on there so you get it right on your mobile phone.
Speaking of follow, where can they follow you on Twitter, Con?
They can follow me on Twitter at conman167. And where can they follow you on Twitter, Bob?
Bob's Wrestling. BOBSRASSLIN. Bob's Wrestling.
So make sure you guys follow us both on there. And reminder that we will be live this Sunday. Both me and Bob will be live on the Conman channel, Conman167 on YouTube. We'll be live with our live reactions and our analysis of the show. So make sure you guys tune in to that. That starts, I believe, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Sunday. If I gave you the wrong time, then I do apologize, but that would be the pre-show. Yeah, Hell in a Cell this Sunday. But guys,
Sunday.
Be there. But that'll be it here for us tonight. Thank you so much to everybody who listened to this podcast. It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying making it with you, Bob. But that is going to do it for us this week. I've been Con.
I've been Bob.
And that was the Con and Bob Podcast.